Well, good afternoon, or good evening, or good morning, as the case may be. The Bill Crane Report is back on the air with my good friend Dwayne Weiss. We are here to discuss this, that, and the other thing, and boy, there's an awful lot to talk about. And I don't know where to start. So by default,
Just pick one.
all right, I haven't talked about sports for a long time.
Good pick because
Yeah.
we're looking at a basketball game tonight. By the time you see this, that's going to be history. But we can anticipate what's
Yep.
going to happen.
The Celtics are going to play Game 6 back in the screaming North, the old North Station, I was going to say, in Boston, and playing Golden State. And it's going to be quite a game. It'll be quite an event. And the Boston fans, very frankly, I'm no shrinking violet, but I'm embarrassed by the Boston fans.
We've made the national news again
Yeah.
over it.
mean-
It just it's just so un-Boston. Boston is thought about the country as being, kind of sophisticated, well-educated, a lot of universities, a lot of culture and stuff. And then the sports fans come by, and you'd think that they were the crudest, rudest things you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah. And I can go back a few years, well, quite a few years actually, into Fenway Park. And I got to tell you something. That was unbelievable in there for stupidity and rudeness. And
Yep.
they're not covering themselves in glory.
No, I got to give you an opening line here. I want
Go ahead.
An AP line, an AP. I didn't clip the whole thing. It's Brookline has got the U.S. Open this weekend. LIV golfers face Brookline fire. That's another story. But boisterous fans will voice their feelings at U.S. Open. I love this opening line. Every loudmouth from Yarmouth and masshole from Athole has been descending on the country club this week. And that just about wraps it up, what's going to happen there. There is, you don't watch much golf, but I happen to like.
I watched the Masters.
Okay, yeah, well, you get the idea then with the whole, how the scenario is. But there's one other place, well, two of them. Phoenix Open, they'd get drunk. And even a commentator would say, well, it's getting later in the afternoon and a lot of adult beverages have been consumed, and they are loud. But they're not rude. They're just enthusiastically loud. Every so many years, this traveling tour plays different things. Like the one over there in Norton, that doesn't happen every year.
Right.
It happens every
Right.
few years. And this one in Brookline, that happens every. Well, there's one that happens to hit New York, right outside New York City. Well, if you see that coming up, watch it. It is a show.
Really?
You don't expect the gallery to steal the golf balls. The last time I saw two of them, they hit the ball, rolls over by the crowd. You see a guy reaches down, puts it in his pocket, and scoots. Jim Nance, the announcer, he does football too. He says, "So I don't know what to say, folks. I could just say, I guess it's only in New York."
Stealing $1.50 golf ball.
He thought he himself of a souvenir, I guess.
Man, I'll tell you, put that on eBay. Personally stolen.
Yeah, he just watched. He looks around and boom, he's gone through the crowd.
I've been looking at the editorials regarding Phil Mickelson.
Oh, and the LIV.
Yeah.
I don't know how they pronounce
you
that.
would think that he took all his children
Yeah.
and sold them into slavery.
Absolutely.
I mean, how dare he go play golf on another tour?
Yep.
A startup tour.
That's right.
I
Well, the PGA is the PGA.
Mm-hmm.
They've gotten, well, NFL does too. They got these by Congress these exceptions to monopoly terms.
and baseball has
It's
it.
the same thing.
Yeah.
and they become little gods. They dictate everything that there is, and they don't want anybody infringing on their territories.
Exactly. But for the general public to be vilifying Mickelson.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
You know what? Bring on the guy that's doing all the yelling and screaming.
Mm-hmm.
What, march him over here to my table where I have stacked up $200 million
Yeah.
and say, that's yours if you want to change your opinion. He would jump right on top of it
Yeah.
and take it and never say another peep. Mickelson is offered a veritable king's ransom.
That's right.
To do what? Play golf.
Yeah.
And he's over the hill.
Yeah, he's 53, 55, something like that.
I mean, his game has deteriorated markedly.
of course. He's lucky to make the cuts a lot of times.
If he were the sun, it's damn close to setting
Yeah.
on his golf game.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So people are saying because Saudi Arabia has behaved badly with human rights, well, that's it.
That's right. That's what they.
But yet, we have the specter of a totally incompetent United States president going over there shortly on bended knee to beg for more oil.
I put it here, hat in hand,
Hat in hand is right. But
begging him.
Begging him.
Yeah.
This is absolute. But to balance it off, he's going to Israel also.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it won't be.
Whoopi is right. He has no Middle East policy. He has no foreign policy. He has no domestic policy. He is absolutely clueless when it comes to inflation. And yet, he's parading around like, I'm going to go over there and, yeah. But at the same time, we're vilifying, that's a great word, Phil Mickelson for taking the money.
Yeah.
And yet, that's what he wants.
There's a few more, Oosthuizen and Dustin Johnson that's gone.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of big names, but I don't know why they're so worried about it, other than it's infringing on their territory, because you never draw except for maybe the Masters or some of
PGA.
the big ones. You never draw the whole crew anyway, and I don't mean the whole crew involves about 160 or 180 people. But you never get, if you get that, you have chaos.
Yeah.
But there are certain ones that play certain tournaments, and the big guys do show up for the 4 or 5 premier events. But they're not there all the time for all the other events. Sometimes Jordan Spieth will come, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes somebody else is there and they're not. So I don't know why they're worried that this is going to draw the people off, because it would not. Some of these guys play tournaments where they think they can make the cut. So because you see a lot of people up here making huge money. The winner might get $1.5 million.
Yeah.
But if you look at the pay scale, the second guy he gets big money yet, but it goes to like 700,000. Then it drops to 300, 200. It doesn't take long to get down to 20 and 30,000.
Yeah.
And then you got a whole list here.
That's right.
That they're called trunk slammers.
Exactly.
They didn't make the cut. They don't get anything, and they go for years sometimes without making anything.
Yeah. It's I think it's like Major League Baseball back when the Federal League tried to start up. How dare you try to compete with us? I don't know. By the way, I'm really going to go off the beaten track here.
Well, that's all right.
Would you tell me why we were subjected to column after column after column about Johnny Depp and his
Oh, for
girlfriend
Christ's
or
sake.
wife or whoever the hell she was.
I don't know if there's really that much interest in celebs, or some people that put stuff in the media think there is.
Yeah.
Because I don't know many people that really give a damn that much about it.
Well, that was going to be my question. Who cares?
I don't care.
I mean, these are a piece of flotsam and a piece of jetsam bobbing around out there. I don't want to know about their personal life or any of that crap.
You are absolutely, though, asking the wrong person. Because we'll sit and watch TV and somebody will come up or some show and some guest comes along and I'll say, who the hell's that? And I get this.
Yeah.
You don't know? I said, no, I don't know because I don't care. I haven't been to a movie in a theater 3 or 4 years now.
The Devil Wears Prada.
Was the last one?
Was the last
I've
one
seen some
I
of these on
went to.
TV, but
Yeah.
I haven't been to a.
That's the last one I think I went to in person.
I can't even remember the last one I went to.
Oh, wait a minute now. There was another one. Michael Douglas was in where he was going to kill his wife or something, or she was going to kill him, or tall, skinny blonde was his wife, Swedish actress. It had a big impact on me. I can't even remember about it. I think that was maybe the last one.
I went to a couple of when they started showing the high-tech 3D movies.
Mm-hmm.
And they used polarized light or something, and they actually had something in the glasses. I thought that was really good. And then they stopped doing that, and then I kind of lost interest in the whole thing again. But I'll watch the TV if I see it. I'll pick it up. But even then, sometimes I can't stay awake,
Yeah.
or else I just get bored with the whole thing.
You know, one of the wags on TV said, well, gee, I went to see Fast Gun or Top Gun, whatever the hell the movie is, it's out now. The girlfriend and I, or the wife, I forget. But the punchline is, and the host said, how much did it cost you?
Oh yeah, it's
Well, we got a box of popcorn we shared, $75.
yeah, oh yeah. You
2
can do that.
tickets and a box of popcorn, $75. And 6 months from now, it'll be on TV.
Yeah, that's the problem. You know, I stayed away from Top Gun. I saw the original, and it was okay, but I get a lot of grief at home about being critical about movies. About that's impossible. She says it's a movie. Stop saying it.
I know.
She says, stop watching it and saying, well, they couldn't possibly do that because you can't jump off a 300-foot cliff and then run when you get to the bottom. And I didn't like the original Top Gun because they, what was his name? I don't remember the young guy there, the hot star.
Tom Cruise?
Yeah, he made movements in that jet that would have killed him. Just the G-forces alone would have killed him. But
Forget about it. It's a movie.
I would say you can't do that. It's physically impossible. Shut up. Just watch the movie.
My favorite are the quasi-detective shows that are on every night. And every single police officer, I shouldn't say that, every lieutenant on up, captain, superintendent is a drop-dead beautiful woman.
Oh, absolutely.
That's 5'10", that wears spike heels on the job,
Yep.
is made up to look like a French prostitute,
They're all Rhodes Scholars.
and dresses impeccably,
Yep.
and has a smart remark for
Everything.
every word.
And everything is so dead serious. I walk through the door. I'm here, guys. I'm going to take care of this. And I used to work with the FBI, among other people. They're not like that at all. They got some of them had a better sense of humor than anybody I ever met.
And the judges. Is there any male judges ever on these shows?
No,
No.
no,
That's
no,
it.
no.
So, and I agree with you. And I've been around cops all my life.
Yep.
Cops don't act like that.
Oh, FBI agents don't act like
And
that.
you know what? Billy, it's TV. Mm-hmm. Ay, ay, ay. So anyway, what is your call for tonight's basketball game?
Oh man, I at one time I thought I could call it, but it's like the Celtics can be two different teams. You know, and
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
that's right, and it's like they just shut things off. I don't. Well, it wasn't too bad in the last game, but that third quarter, if they could have skipped those third quarters, why you know more about that than I do? Why, when they come out, the first two games, why are they so dead on the third quarter?
You know, I hate to say this because I love sports.
Mm-hmm.
But if I were more cynical than I am, well, no, I'm a real cynic, but if I were more honest than I am, I would suspect the whole thing was fixed so they could get 7 games. And who does that? The owners make more money, the players make more money, the sponsors and TV make more money.
This is the exact discussion we had the last 2 games. I had said, that doesn't look right. When Team A makes a shot, it's going to miss. And you can see the arc, what's going, it's going to miss. But yet, there's only the opposing team standing under the basket waiting for the rebound. The other team is halfway down the floor already. Why are they doing that? They don't always do that, but every once in a while you can just see. I said, it's almost like I called it scripted.
How can Steph Curry
Yeah.
shoot lights out
Yep. Oh yeah.
in one game? It may be the best shooting exhibition in basketball I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, me too. He's like a machine.
And then the next game, he looks like me floundering
Yeah,
around
I know
out
it.
there. And they still win.
Yeah.
I mean, go figure.
But you were right. There's a lot of motivation in these kind of sports. Now we're not making any accusation. It was just an observation.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of motivation when you look for motive to go 7 games or 6 games as opposed to a 4-game sweep.
And you know what? I think football, baseball, and even hockey would be more difficult to script than basketball. Because I swear to you, the referees make up the rules as they go along, and it changes every game.
That's right. They know. Even the announcers will tell you that when the game starts, how they're calling it, and they do it.
Well,
That's right.
this crew here lets them play. He
Yep.
said, I think we're going to see some physical basketball tonight. And then they'll say, well, this crew calls it tight. Now, how can you have a major league sport
I don't know.
and have one set of referees call it one way, another set call it another way,
Yep.
and say, these are our 2 best refereeing teams?
Well, I agree. I've noticed that myself, and I'm
Madness.
not an astute sports fan.
And you know, in hockey, I had season tickets to the Bruins for a million years. I could tell you if My favorite referee was Wally Harris. Old Wally with his mustache, back when mustaches weren't in vogue. Wally would let the game go. The players will play and let them choose who wins out there. I'm not going to be the guy that makes a difference. Now, a blatant penalty, I'll call it, you know?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I'm not going to call the Mickey Mouse stuff.
Yeah, right.
And yet you got another referee that comes along, and he's got a reputation of calling everything. And it drives me nuts. But in basketball, it's more so because, well, and they go to the, here's a drive into the back. Oh, wait a minute, that's a blocking foul.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how'd you see that? I don't know. It looked like he was moving to me.
Even the announcers, most of the time, can't agree.
Yeah. Or then the announcers, one of the announcers will say, "That's a charge, for God's sakes." You know, I mean, if these guys that have instant replay can't figure it
Yeah,
out,
exactly.
you know, basketball could be a heck of a game. However, when you start interpreting the rules of charge and blocking and reach-ins, where he touched him, that's a foul.
That's a foul.
But it didn't influence anything. He had his hand on it. Well, a lot of referees, they just let that go. Incidental contact. Anyway.
Well, but to answer the question, I think
Yes.
in the context of our current discussion, I think the Celtics are going to win tonight. They're going to go 7. They're going to go back to San Francisco.
I would like to think you're right. But I got to tell you something. In Game 5, they looked as flat as a pancake.
Yep.
And,
It's all about which team's going to show up.
yeah, that's it exactly. Exactly. I'd like to see the Celtics win, but I think Golden State's going to win. I really do. But
We're going to see how it's going to be interesting how the fans behave.
well, we know how they'll behave. At 9 o'clock at night, oh yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be pretty well tanked already.
They'll be warming up on those $13 cups of beer. You mentioned
Yeah,
that.
one article, even the players' wives were subject to stuff thrown at the buses and yelling at the wives and the kids, and it's not pretty.
No, it's not. Not pretty at all. However, with that said and done, my brother Tommy used to have access through one of his clients with down on the floor seats at the Celtics, and he a couple of times I went in with him. The seats were about 3 or 4 rows back behind the Celtics bench. You could hear every word that was being said on the court.
Oh, yeah, I bet you.
The way they talk to each other,
The players?
the players, you can't believe the names they call each other and the things they infer from one to another.
Oh, I certainly, if amateur sports is any indication,
Yep.
I was a soccer coach and a referee, and I refereed a lot of girls under 16 and under 18, U18. It's been 50 years now. I learned words that I didn't even know what they would talk, what they'd call each other out there, and it's unbelievable. I shouldn't have been. I wouldn't say shocked. I was surprised.
Yeah.
Some little 15-year-old, 16-year-old girl,
Just
cute
to
little
talk
thing,
like a longshoreman.
put a longshoreman to shame.
Oh, man. So, I mean, for these guys to complain about what the fans are yelling compared to what they yell at each other about
Yeah,
your
that's true.
mother or your sister.
Oh,
or,
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, give me a break. You'd think these guys were a bunch of tender-hearted little sweethearts. Ah.
In basketball, can you get a technical foul for bad mouthing the ref?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's what I
Yeah.
thought.
But you know what? Technical fouls in basketball seems to me to be somewhat scripted also, because they are constantly yapping at the referees.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. In football, that wouldn't happen. Now, granted, they got masks on and we can't see everything, but if you were demonstrating to a football referee, they'd drop the flag on you fast.
Oh yeah.
You don't touch them.
You never never make contact.
No.
No.
In baseball, the umpires will let you chirp at them a little bit, especially in the batter's box, because you can't really see. Neither one demonstrates.
You see once in a while if it's the batter's
Yeah.
questioning the call,
And
he
there's
turns
nothing
around and he said a word or two, but
Nothing wrong with that.
no, there's not. But
Especially when they say, "Where was it?" It was outside. Was it low? No. Okay. All right. Because they're saying, "I want to know where your strike zone is." You know, it's when you start doing this.
yeah, oh yeah.
Or once you start that,
Out.
you go. And in hockey, the referees and the players seem to get along a lot better
Yeah.
than in sports. Because I think all the referees played hockey as kids.
And you know, that's kind of amazing too, because hockey is so physical and
Yeah.
so volatile.
Yeah.
And amongst the players, you know,
Yeah.
you can break out in a fight like that in a hockey game. You'd think there was more hostility towards the refereeing, but there's not.
There's not. There's respect for the referees. Now, granted, every once in a while somebody goes off the rails and starts screaming at the referee, and that's a 10-minute misconduct.
Yep.
Go get in the box. I think that hockey is a difficult sport to referee, but I think they do a good job. Basketball is just an amazing mystery to me. But the umpires in baseball, I think, do the best job of anybody.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, when they're getting 93% of the balls and strikes right, and football, I like the fact that in football they'll say, "Okay, stop. Call the other guys in. Let's have a little conversation. What did you see? What did you see? What did you see?" And then they make the call.
Yeah.
They're not prima donnas in that I made the call and it stands. Now shut up.
There are calls. You could, as an officiator, there are some of those calls, they're not humanly possible to adjudicate correctly.
That's correct.
You take some of them. Was he safe at first or out at first? When they got to play it in the replay, and they slow it down, and they say, "Oh, the ball's this far from his glove
Yep.
right now." You physically, there's no person on earth that can see that at regular speed.
Correct.
So he has to make his best judgment call at that
And
point.
I think on something that close, don't blow it up and keep looking at it. The
Yeah.
call on the field stands.
Yeah. And if he's doing it the way he's supposed to be doing it, it usually evens out at some
Of course
point
it
in the
does.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when an umpire is constantly out of position,
That's a different story.
that's another story.
That's a fault of his.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
So you think
I think, you know what?
you think this is going to be the end? Then?
I think so. But, and the reason is I'm going to be Billy Innocent and say it's all on the up and up. There's no fishy stuff going on.
Okay.
I just don't. The Celtics dug themselves a hole in the last game. I can't see them being like Freddy Krueger and getting out of the grave on this one.
I didn't follow the series from day one. I picked it up halfway through
Yeah.
Milwaukee.
Okay.
So I just kind of, there was nothing else on, so
Yeah.
I said, shit, I might as well watch this.
Yeah. I watched after Christmas.
Okay.
My son Patrick, told me, he says, "You got to start watching the Celtics, Dad. They got a couple of young players that are really starting to show up." Well, I started watching the odd game here and there, and then I started looking at the paper to see if anything else was on, and
Yeah.
by default, I'd watched
Yeah,
the
that's
Celtics for a
kind of how
while.
I picked it up.
Yeah. But they've been a lot of fun this year. And if the season ends tonight, it'll have been a wonderful season.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Red Sox are playing good baseball.
Yeah.
They're getting good pitching. The defense has improved. But I just have this bad feeling that they've really messed up the Xander Bogaerts deal. They tossed an offer his way in spring training that was an insult as far as he was concerned. I mean, somebody offered me $20 million. I mean, I'd be quite happy about the whole deal. But he said, "I want a long-term contract." And they said, "Look, why don't we just adjust you up to 20 mil and we'll talk about it next year." And he's saying, but other players are getting that kind of, a lot more money than I'm getting, shortstops.
That's the problem right
Yeah.
there. That I think is what's caused, I'll call it job inflation. Is not what am I worth, it's what are you getting. And the ego comes into play here.
I think there's something to be said for that, yeah. However, what's interesting is you've got a bunch of different events coming together. But Bogaerts has said, "I want a new contract." And they're supposed to renegotiate his contract.
Yep.
Or he can opt out and be a free agent at the end of the year.
That's right.
So, but if he doesn't, then I think he's got 3 more years on the contract.
Do you think the Red Sox will ever get their value out of sales?
No,
I don't either.
no. He's got this herky-jerky motion.
Yep.
It's all arm. It's tough for the batters to pick the ball up. He's got live stuff, but the strain he puts on his body.
He's always going to be hurting himself.
Yeah. I mean, he's like a Tinker toy.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
pieces start falling off, you know? But they haven't gotten anything out of him for 3 straight years.
That's right.
He's pitched, 6 or 8 games.
Yeah, something pathetic.
So he's going to want to go out there, and he's going to want to be Chris Sale again, and he wants to hum the ball 98 miles an hour, and that'll last about 4 games, and then it's Chris is on the sidelines. He's going to miss his next start. Got some soreness in the shoulder area, and before you know it, he's on the long-term injury list, and they signed him. They got him from the White Sox, I think, in a trade. They were insistent on signing him to a long-term contract before his old contract was up.
Yeah.
And they never should have done that, because that was the end of him. I mean, baseball experts said, great pitcher, unbelievable stuff. He is not going to have a long career. So, I don't think so. Now,
I'm impressed though with how hard pitchers in the major leagues can throw.
yeah,
I found that out. I never knew how fast I threw the ball, because when I was playing baseball, like in little league type stuff in the high school stuff, there was no such thing as a radar gun.
No.
No, there was, nobody had that. Even the majors didn't have that. But we were. I don't think we had kids. So I would have been probably 25, 26. We went to see friends of ours in Texas. And we went to a Texas Rangers game. And like a lot of Texas Rangers games, even today, but in those days, they got this huge stadium, and it was, oh hell, maybe 2,000 people there. You pretty much had the place to yourself. Well, they had this concession thing in the back where it didn't cost anything. Just step up and see how how can you throw in this little, like, animated picture. I thought, hell, I said, how much am I pretty good at this yet? And I thought, I'm going to give it and I thought I was whapping one in there. It was 28 miles an hour.
I was just going to say 30 miles an hour.
And I said, God, I can do better than that. I tried. I said, I bet you I can get to 40. I hurt myself about 33 or 34. I pulled something in my arm there. I couldn't hardly move for 2 days.
I know, it's very humbling.
Yeah.
I went into a Red Sox doubleheader one Saturday or Sunday afternoon by myself, and there was like 6,000 people in the stands. I mean, this goes back into the 60s. So I bought a general admissions ticket, and I went up to the usher down by the box seats. I slipped him $1. I said, "Got a nice seat for me down here?" He said, "I do indeed, sir," as he put the $1 in his pocket, which would be the equivalent of a $5
Yeah,
today.
exactly.
Yeah, brought me right down front and dusted the seat off for me, and there you are.
Yep.
Well, sudden Sam McDowell was pitching from the Indians. And now I want to tell you something. That man could throw the ball. And he had a curveball that would come in and drop,
Oh, geez.
just like it fell off the table. Well, they managed to get 2 or 3 hits off him, and he struck out 11 of them. Second game, and the name escapes me, but he had an almost Hall of Fame career. He came out for Cleveland. He couldn't throw the ball straight if you held a gun to his head. Everything moved. It hopped down. It curved right. He had cutters before cutters became popular. Every single pitch moved. The Red Sox were swinging at air all afternoon. It was the most unbelievable performance I've ever witnessed in person, and I was like 3 or 4 rows back. But you're right. They can throw hard.
Amazing.
They can make the ball talk to themselves. They can make it do whatever they want. When I was umpiring Little League baseball, there was a kid. He wasn't doing it on purpose. It was all an accident, the way he gripped the ball. He was right-handed. He could make the ball move in on a right-handed hitter. They couldn't hit him to save their lives.
Yeah.
And it was just purely an accident, the way he gripped it, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But, otherwise, umpiring was fun. It was the parents that were a pain in the butt.
The same with the soccer people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I actually had to throw a parent off the grounds. Well, actually twice. One guy wouldn't stop smoking. He was a coach.
Okay, wow.
And told me I couldn't stop him from smoking. I said, it's in the regulations, Little League regulations. It's been passed. I've been told nobody smokes on the field or around the field. And he said, well, I'm smoking. I said, get out of here. And he said, you're not throwing me out of here. And I said, now listen, there's a telephone upstairs overhead. I said, do you want me to have him call the cops and have you thrown out of here and you look like a horse's ass? He left.
I had one moment with that.
Yeah.
she just wouldn't shut up and questioning everything. And that day I was alone.
Yeah. Oh, that's always fun.
I had the field and the sidelines. And I finally, it wasn't even it was probably an under 12 game. It was littler kids.
Yeah.
And I went over and I said to her, and I talked loud enough so the people around her could hear. I said, I'm here all alone. I got an extra whistle. I always carry it in case you lose one and break it. I said, I got an extra whistle. Why don't you come on out and give me a hand? She says, I don't know anything about the game. I said, well, what I've been hearing, I thought you knew everything about it, so come on out and give me a hand. And people around applauded. I said, that probably wasn't nice, but I was so tired of her.
Good for you. The other guy I had to throw out was a coach. And he started yelling at his son for a mistake the kid made in the field.
Yep.
And he threw the clipboard at his kid, hit him in the leg.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that you got to be careful of.
And I told him, I said, get out.
Yep.
I said, before I call the cops, get out. Mm-hmm. And he cursed me and left and got in his Oldsmobile and peeled out. A real classy act. But anyway, hockey, briefly. The Bruins are in a very difficult position. They've got their best player, Patrice Bergeron, thinking about retiring. They've got unhappy players on the team. They had a great coach, and because the general manager couldn't get him to do a couple of things that he wanted done, he fired the coach.
He didn't stay fired long, though.
No.
Boy, he got picked up pretty fast.
Cassidy's a good man, and one of the complaints that in the paper, the insiders said that, well, a couple of the guys are afraid of doing things out there for fear of making a mistake and having the coach call them out on it.
Yeah.
So this is, can you imagine being in the Marine Corps and saying, well, I'm afraid to do that because I don't know what the drill instructor's gonna say. He may yell at me.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, anyway, it shows who's running things because Sweeney insisted that he fire Cassidy. Neely, from what I understand, decided to sit on the sidelines and not take one side or the other. And the owner wanted to keep Cassidy.
Yeah. Well, the owner did.
Old man Jacobs.
Yep.
I guess it was a long, drawn-out discussion. And I guess one of the stories is, and who knows how this crap leaks out, but one of the stories is finally Jacobs, after a long argument, said, okay, you fire him. And if it doesn't work out, you're fired.
No, that's not an uncommon scenario.
That's right. And that's something that I would expect he would have said, yeah. So the Bruins are in a bit of chaos. And the Patriots, who knows? It's a closed society, nothing, it's like a black hole. Light goes in but never comes back out.
You don't know anything about that.
Nothing. But you know what? That's the way it's got to be. I mean,
I don't
Belichick.
mind.
Yeah. Belichick takes it just like he's running the Manhattan Project.
That's right.
Top secret.
It's
Worked
out well.
Why should I tell other teams what I'm doing? Because if I tell the reporters, it's going to be in print 20 minutes later.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's our sports report for the moment.
That's right.
The biggest, one of the big problems that's going on right now is our president is in a world of dither. He doesn't know which end is up. Now, he's been telling a story, and it's a deliberate distortion of the truth. That this inflation, this rise in gas prices, is all Putin's fault.
No.
On the day that Biden took office, gas was $2.39 a gallon. On June 3rd, 2022, 18 months later, was $4.76.
Yeah.
Doubled. How you can blame Putin for that? It is
No, you can't.
Biden's policies.
But also, Biden likes to think he can control stuff, but he can't. There's nobody in this country or a person in the world that can control oil prices. That's a bid up commodity. It's like you bring in your 100 barrels there, and I'll say, well, I bet $100 or $100 a barrel, and somebody says, well, I'll give you 105, and somebody gives you 110. Now, but if you've got 100 barrels sitting there, but you know that outside you got 10,000 more, you're not going to get that price. And we approached this, the whole damn thing we approached completely ass backwards.
Of course.
When we tried to shut off Putin income, instead of banning his oil, we should have went and found out every oil source that we get and dump it in the market. Because if he cuts his production in half, which is not the case now, as of today, they've announced that his production is actually up from what it was. If he cuts his production in half, but the price triples on the world market, he's ahead of the game.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So all we do is play right into his.
That's right.
And you gotta remember, you're dealing with a finite source. Maybe not today, maybe not next year, maybe not 10, maybe not 50 years. But it is a finite source. And eventually there's not going to be much fuel left, assuming that things just stay they are. But they won't. But
They won't.
They
No.
won't. They won't. But you're just for argument's sake that you're dealing with a finite source. And in a finite source, you want to use the other guy's material first and keep yours. If there's only so many and you got so many and I got so many, well, hell, I'll buy yours up and I'll keep mine. When yours is gone, I can do whatever I want with
And
mine.
I think we did an excellent job of that in this country.
Oh, yeah.
And then they discovered the miracle of fracking.
That's right.
Now, we have got more oil under our country than Saudi Arabia has.
I just saw not too long ago, oil was discovered in this place in Oil City or Franklin, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
There's a dispute between the two towns. They're only, 10 minutes. They're only 15 miles apart or 20 miles apart, but it's a town pride.
Absolutely.
From where they discovered oil, Pennsylvania oil, that's been supposedly dried up for 100 years. They've only used 20%. It's still there, but it's not easy to get to.
We have got 99% of the country. Well, we haven't tapped an oil well, for God's
We
sakes.
only pick the low-hanging fruit.
Right.
Which you can poke a hole in the ground, it squirts up, and you use it.
Yeah, exactly. But if Biden had not been elected and Trump had been elected and kept the same energy policy, we'd have $2 oil gas still.
I don't know if it would be $2 oil because we are a big user. But right now, there's another factor that there's not a shortage of oil per se. It's there. It's the shortage of refining it. There are so many refiners offline right now
Absolutely.
that we can't. You can have all the oil you got, but if
The
you can't
Philadelphia
refract it,
refinery has never been rebuilt.
no,
No. And they say, why? You're only going to shut us down anyway.
that's right. They're afraid to build them.
Yeah.
Just like some of the people in the North Dakota oil fields are afraid to start up again. They said, it costs us millions and millions of dollars. How do we know that 3 months from now you're not going to be shutting us down again?
You know, I oversimplified my remarks when I did, and I apologize.
But the simplification is the way you understand things.
Yeah.
Some of these things are so complex you can't put your arms around them no matter how hard
The-
you try.
Profit margin that a developer must meet is higher for fracking than
That's
it
right.
is for straight
Drilling.
So perhaps we'd have $3 oil
Mm-hmm.
or gasoline now, because there's a threshold, and the oil has got to be at least the high 50s, the 60s.
Before it's
Then the frackers will come in
Yeah.
and they will pump oil.
because their cost of doing business, their cost of that getting that barrel of oil out is
Exactly.
substantial.
Well, and not only that, but also, well, of course, the other side of the coin too is that we don't have the infrastructure to move that fuel because it's been blocked by the EPA.
Indian tribes and everybody else. Yeah.
I mean, instead of us, this country needs a new government, new president, new Congress. We need to declare a energy emergency
yeah.
and sweep some of this nonsense to one side and get back to producing product.
We need an energy czar.
Yes. Kamala Harris may be out of business pretty soon. Maybe we could grab her. She's got background to be the czar.
No.
No? Oh dear.
That's a czar, not bizarre.
We're starting to dwindle down on time. I got something to talk about here coming up. I tell you what, let me spend a couple of minutes. Norfolk lost a local son on June 8th. Arthur Woodworth passed away. Artie was a townie. He was a great guy, my age, and he was the superintendent of roads, as we used to call them.
What was his name?
Arthur Woodworth.
I've heard the name. I didn't know
Yeah.
who he was.
His brothers, I think, still live in town. But Woody was a good guy, and he was the DPU job. That's what he had. But we used to, as kids, I mean, young guys, he was the superintendent of roads was the title, and he was it for 20 or 25 years. And Reeve Bolter worked with him. He was the foreman, and between those two guys, talk about good employees, town employees. But they were both good guys too. Woody was a damn good guy. Knew him all my life, and Norfolk is poorer for his passing.
Yeah.
So our condolences to Anita and the family. It's always sad when one has somebody that
Yeah. Right.
in my age bracket that I knew real well passes away. It brings new meaning to the words. We're mortal. But anyway, Artie, Woody, rest in peace, buddy. A great quote from someone describing Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, sane and capable. I think that sums it up pretty well. from what was seen so far, he's certainly dancing towards the national scene.
Oh, absolutely. There's no question about that.
Yeah. And he hasn't made a mistake so far.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. I don't know. I'm impressed with him.
I think taking on Disney was a mistake.
You think?
Oh God, yes. It's like fighting Santa Claus. You know, you might have a fight there in Florida with Disney, but the rest of the world don't see it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So if you got national ambitions, and you found out you're the guy that killed Santa Claus, you forget it.
Believe me, Santa Claus has survived it well.
Well, of course, Santa
Yeah.
Claus. He really can't. You can't do anything to Walt Disney because they do. They're big.
They're huge.
And they're good, and they're very efficient at what they do, and they're a hell of a lot shrewder than people think they are. They're not.
They run a
Seven
hell of an
Dwarfs
operation down there.
And Mickey Mouse. They're not Mickey Mouse in business.
Right. Right. I've often said Disney World and the U.S. Army, the two best organizations I've ever seen.
Yep.
They know what they're doing. However, when they start getting into politics, I think that's overstepping their bounds.
I don't
They
like
are-
that either. I don't.
They are an entertainment company.
Yeah.
Keep it clean, do your job, be profitable, and take care of your shareholders. We'll take care of government.
That's right. I don't like people getting out of their lane, as they say today.
Absolutely.
Stay in your lane. Do what
Stay
you
in
do
your
best.
lane.
Do what you do best, and somebody else will take care of the other stuff.
And we do what we do best, ranting and raving.
That's right. We're the best ranter and ravers in town.
And this segment has just run out of time. So, folks, this would be a good time for you to head for the powder room or to get another cup of coffee or even some sterner stuff if you wish.
Are you referring to adult beverages?
Could be.
Oh,
Could be.
It's-
We encourage that sort of behavior.
it's a little after noon now, but
Yeah.
it's 5 o'clock someplace.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. So, we're going to step aside for a bit. We'll be right back.
See you later.